So over the weekend, we've got KimDotCom starting afresh this argument that Bitcoin Cash is the real Bitcoin, that Bitcoin's been captured, and anybody that wants to do the real Bitcoin thing should be doing it on the fork that happened back in, what was it, 2017? Good morning, Lucas.
Good morning. Tell me a little bit about Bitcoin Cash. Was this Bitcoin Cash wasn't the Craig Wright fork, was it?
No, it's not the Craig Wright fork. It's the first fork that happened of Bitcoin where there was the block size war. What had happened was that there were individuals in the Bitcoin community that said we should have big blocks, that Bitcoin should be fast, it should be used for everything, and that there should be very low fee pressure on the network. And so it was forked in 2017. One of the other big changes that happened with Bitcoin Cash was they re-enabled all of the opcodes. So Bitcoin Cash has had a substantively stronger smart contract programming language, more full-featured in that Bitcoin script has much more capacity and capabilities on this chain. So that's a brief history.
Well, I'm glad to hear that Craig Wright is not behind it. I thought maybe this was an Argentine New Zealand plot. So
Well, I think this was Roger Ver's one, isn't it?
oh, no way, this is Roger Ver. Okay. Well, speaking of Roger Ver, Kim.com is also being extradited into the United States, but let's get into that in a second. Opcodes. Do you think this has anything to do with Bitcoin's reintroduction of the opcode? I forget which opcode it was for adding the runes to Bitcoin. Is that adding fee pressure to it, or why is Kim.com saying that it's time to make the switch?
This is an old argument that it should be a switch. I'm not sure why he started talking about this again recently, but maybe it's related to all the discussions around actually enabling opcodes and the soft fork on Bitcoin. Maybe I'm not exactly sure.
I wondered if with the reintroduction of the rune opcode, I still can't think of what it was. I wondered if fees had gone up, or if that's what Kim.com sees. On Kim.com's extradition, so Kim.com is being extradited, or the extradition order has been approved to drag him back to the United States. And these go to charges for his website, megaupload.com. And I'm not sure what all the charges there, but Kim.com claims that that was retaliation by the United States government for his support of, I believe, $100,000 that he gave to WikiLeaks whenever WikiLeaks first became a site, which the United States felt was targeting the government secrets. So, and I did not know.
You get so used to somebody's profile picture on Twitter, and then you don't really think about what they actually look like. I'm shocked. I've never actually seen a picture of Kim.com. I'm always just used to seeing this guy with the sunglasses on.
He's Finnish, right?
I didn't know that either. I don't really know a lot about Kim.com.
Oh, no way. The first that I ever remembered Kim.com was an article in Wired, maybe, about he had a limo that he plugged into the internet in like 1997 or 98. And the first picture I ever saw in him, which is burned into my brain, is him sitting in like this stretched. I feel like it was before there were Hummers. It was some sort of, it was not a Lincoln Town Car. It was not a stretched Lincoln Town Car, put it that way. But he was I don't know what brought him into hacker prominence, but he had some sort of stunt where he put a limo on the internet. That was the first time I ever saw him, and I think that he fled to New Zealand to evade sort of cybercrime charges or extradition. I'm not sure what the full story is there, but he was behind Mega Upload, and I think it is with regards to copyright issues that the United States is trying to extradite him. So this brings up in my mind all the usual questions about what is sovereign immunity, how far should the finger of the arm of the United States judicial system stretch? What does it mean to be sovereign, especially in a world where we, I don't know, we've really muddied those waters, and especially on the heels of what we did to both Edward Snowden and Julian Assange. You know, the United States did not drop the charge against Julian Assange. He ended up pleading out, which I think is mud on the face of the United States and any proponent of liberty. But I guess I saw another post that KimDotCom was offered a pardon by Donald Trump, and he turned it down and said that if you do not pardon Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, that he would not take that. And Trump wasn't ready at that point to pardon them. So he's got a lot of hot takes on Twitter, but at the end of the day, he seems to be an outsized voice for liberty, and appreciate that about him. So bummer that he's being hauled into the United States or extradited.
Usually don't look at price charts that often, but Bitcoin Cash has had some weird price action not that long ago. You know, during the big boom of Bitcoin, it actually kind of ripped up to, what was it, about 1,600, and then most recently, they actually had a rip up to like 700. There's still adherents and believers in this particular crypto.
Is Bitcoin Cash, is the supply of Bitcoin Cash capped at 21 million?
Yep, everything is the same. So they took the database that was Bitcoin and they used it as the basis of the new fork, and then just expanded the capability and kept going. So if you had coins prior to the fork, then you have coins on Bitcoin Cash.
Interesting. And do you know how many validators are hosted for Bitcoin Cash? Like how much is it used?
That I don't have immediate metrics. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Yeah, see if you could find something. That would be very interesting to know, especially compared to Bitcoin. It would also be interesting to see what the metrics for consensus support for Bitcoin has been with all the attention that it's gotten recently. I wonder if that has meant that it's gotten more nodes, more people mining for it, or if that has been relatively stable, and also how that compared to the price. But that might be a hard chart to find. And did Roger Ver ever get extradited to the United States?
This can't be the right number, is it? Network nodes? What is this?
I would hope not, but it could be.
Huh. Well, I don't know. That seems like a really small number.
That seems like an incredibly small number. So, wow. 570.
That's there's no way. I gotta keep looking. Give me a second.
Yeah, see if you can double check on that. And I want to see if Roger Ver will follow up on see if Roger Ver is in the United States. He was living in Spain, and maybe 6, 8, 10 months ago, there were there was an extradition charge for him with regards to tax fraud, because I remembered it was some, shall we say, bullshit about the amount of taxes that he paid on his Bitcoin whenever he renounced his United States citizenship. He renounced his United States citizenship and moved to Spain. Which, did you happen to see also? Thomas Massey posted this morning that members of Congress, that we should not allow dual citizenship for members of Congress, and I heartily agreed and thought that that should be applied not only to members of Congress but any citizen, period. We should be thinking about how to about the requirements for citizenship, and this notion of dual citizenship, I think, is incredibly problematic. And there are some people who have more than even dual citizenship, but have 3, 4, 5 different citizenships. And I think that's going to be, I think that is going to be an issue that becomes more prominent politically. Republicans and Democrats both should pick that up and run with it. Rusty, do you agree or disagree when I make such a statement with regards to citizenship?
I think that citizenship is something that you can earn, and that, yeah, I welcome dual citizenship from multiple countries. I think about different people that come over and they join the military and they get their citizenship that way, or they marry into somebody that's in the military and they gave their citizenship that way. There's a lot of different ways to gain citizenship, and I think that dual citizenship can be used and can be applied to different people, especially when they want to live in different places of the world and maybe get relief on some of the tax standards that are getting implemented here now in the Americas. They want to say, well, I really don't live in America. I really live over here on this peaceful little island that doesn't really, temper me too much, but I still spent 8 months of my time in the United States or something like that.
Yeah, but I'm actually against being able, I believe in being able to transfer your citizenship, but this notion of dual citizenship I find problematic. And I think of that in regards to APAC and FARA, the foreign agent registration, whatever the last A is for. It's interesting how the APAC members do not have to register as foreign agents, and yet oftentimes their policy agendas are aimed at the benefit of a country that is not the United States, are aimed at the benefit of Israel, or have other policy agendas around the world. And I think that probably occurs for many people who have dual citizenship, whether that be to Israel or to Argentina or to Great Britain. And I love all countries of the world. I love the world, but I don't know that we need a bunch of Brits coming over, getting dual citizenship, and then putting Britain in front of America. So I think that it's as we see more people moving around the world, and more global economies, more global corporations, that I think that dual citizenship becomes a bigger problem. So, and again, I'm all for transferability, but I don't hold a New Mexico and a Colorado driver's license. I don't understand why.
No, but your driver's license allows you to drive in both the state of Colorado and New Mexico. Like, just because you don't have a New Mexico driver's license doesn't mean you can't drive in New Mexico. You can still drive with your Colorado driver's license. And when you were speaking about the point of the international business, I think that it does benefit dual citizenship more to have international business. I have a buddy of mine that is high up in Wells Fargo, and I see him all over the place on Facebook, posting in places like Dubai, places like Korea. I've seen him in Japan. I've seen him over in China. I see him all over the place with Wells Fargo. And, he may need to be able to flow in and out of those places of the government more easily, and especially the airports and places like that, when he's flying internationally all the time with his place of business.
Yes, but there's both there's tourist visas and work visas, and I think that those are very important. And I I didn't. I don't know if you misunderstood. I don't think that dual citizenship is negatively correlated with international business. I think it's highly correlated with it. I think that we have, and I guess the reason that I also look at that is I don't know how fair it is for people who aren't engaged in international business. And at some point, it should be a nation state's duty to take care of the people at home. And if some of their citizens have the ability or and it's also just interesting to think of, in some ways, to think of international corporations or corporations period not as a part of a nation state. I mean, at one time we were incorporating businesses into the tax code so that they could provide services in the private sector that were that they could do more efficiently, or for some reason that we wanted to gamify or give people a notion of an ability to make choices outside of the control of the government in order to, quote unquote, get ahead. But now that we have international corporations, they are on the same footing as nation states. So, in one way, it's an allegiance that we have that's alongside a citizenship. But especially whenever corporations are larger than some countries. I mean, how fair is it for someone to claim that they are a citizen of one country and abuse the tax systems? And you can even think about that in terms, again, of states living in Texas or living in Oklahoma and working in Texas. One has an income tax and one doesn't. So you would ideally want to live in Oklahoma, work in Texas, and pay low real estate tax in Oklahoma and have income in Texas. But back to Roger Ver.
Well, back to Bitcoin Cash. I think that this is validated. So I was looking for what the value might be, and I found that a really old historical post said that there were 1,500 nodes. Then I was checking up on this post, which was pretty recent, not 5 months ago, and said that Bitcoin Cash has 0.58% the hash rate of Bitcoin, and there are only 654 BCH nodes. So this research seems to be pretty accurate based on some other things that I checked up on. So it's clearly a little out of date, but yeah, I think that the security of this particular chain is very low. I think that there's individual miners on Bitcoin, that if they wanted to flip their hash rate over here, it could cause some serious damage to this chain.
Yeah, I wonder surely that was on KimDotCom's radar before, or maybe not. Maybe he's thinking about what he needs to pack when he makes the flight from New Zealand to the United States.
I mean, this just seems crazy to be advocating for this. I mean, the security of the chain is just abysmally low. I don't know why anybody would be seriously talking about this anymore. I guess the real question is, how close to the top is this still? Is it top 10? Is it top 100? Where is Bitcoin Cash these days?
That's it. Give that a look-see and see what the top coins are. I saw that Cardano fell out of the top 10, and I didn't get a chance to look at what the top coins were. But I was surprised that Cardano was not up there in the running for a top 10. It seems to me to have a very loyal community, and also to be well situated in Wyoming.
I mean, Cardano barely fell out of the top 10.
Oh, okay.
It's 11.
Oh, is it 11?
Yeah, like it's
the power of headlines.
And look, here's Bitcoin Cash 15.
Oh, look, 15.
This is wild. Like 15. I'm telling you, the security of this chain it's got to be almost zero. Like if you did any significant thing on this blockchain, you could have a single entity could come in there and cause just havoc with the hash rate of this.
Well, I've never even heard of Polkadot.
Oh, come on. Polkadot's huge.
Is it? I'm missing out. Interesting also to see Tron still there, as well as Dogecoin. I was going to say, scroll up. What are the leaders?
It's mostly stables.
Yeah. You know, our conversation last Friday, we talked a lot about the Nixon shock and whether or not the world went off of gold at that point, or off the gold standard. And something that we didn't really get to was the difference between actually being on gold and on a gold standard. Ethereum Classic, really?
I'm shocked by this top 100 list. Ethereum Classic and Stellar Lumens. These are just like coins that are just really old.
Filecoin is still there. Wow. Did you happen to catch Peter Thiel's interview with, or his conversation with Joe Rogan?
I did.
You did.
Yeah.
You don't sound excited about it.
As someone that ostensibly is on air a lot, the ums and the ahs were just maddening. It's unlistenable.
Now I'm going to be self-conscious.
I should be.
I just on the heels of that. Now look at the only part that really caught my attention in that conversation was, and Peter Thiel has said on the record before that he did not hold Bitcoin, or that he was not excited about the prospects of Bitcoin. Wow, there's Algorand that low down? Unbelievable. But
look at what it's trading at, 12 cents.
Goodness. Oh my goodness.
I thought we were in a crypto bull market. This doesn't look like a bull market.
Well, they're very small bulls.
This is shocking though. PayPal USD. This is on Solana, right? This is PayPal's stable on Solana.
Yes. PayPal. What about Venmo? Do you see it anywhere? My sister actually, she knows of my dirty little crypto secret. This phase that I never seen. What is EOS? I've never even heard of EOS.
EOS was huge. They raised billions and billions of dollars, and I think they just recently flipped all that money into becoming a hedge fund or something weird. Yeah, it's shocking how many stables are in here. And when I see things like this, like Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, being higher up than Chia, it's like, really? What is this? This has got to have an even lower validator count, probably like 100 on Bitcoin SV.
Unbelievable. Is it? No. Satoshi.
That should be another thing that CoinMarketCap puts on here, is relative strength of like blockchain. You know what I'm talking about? Like if you were to say, okay, what is its hashing power strength and what is the dollar value of the hashing power strength versus its market cap? That would be like a vulnerability index or something.
I agree, but
like if you wanted to rug all the money on this chain, what would it take to do it? And there's $800 million there, ostensibly. Wow. These numbers are stupid. Like how is this the market cap? Like you could take any fork of Bitcoin, right? And if you fork it, there's a certain amount of coins that are already in existence. So you inherit like a whole bunch of market cap because you don't even have to create the coins. They're just already there. And so if it's trading at some stupid number like this, then you inherit a market cap. Do you see what I'm saying with this? I do. And
this
is meaningless. This is absolutely meaningless.
I 100% agree.
That's one of the reasons why I don't really like going by the standard of market cap, because you can really think about it. I mean, a lot of the times, especially with these, we call them shit tokens or meme tokens, but there's just so many of them that they create. I mean, there's quadrillions of them that exist. And when you go into that, each one of those tokens gets a piece of that value of the coin. And so when you have a quadrillion coins, even if it's just 1 penny, a quadrillion pennies, you're going to get a market cap value of a multi, billions of dollars.
Well, I think also that, and yes, we can have shitcoins on layer 2s and layer 1s. Turns out you can have layer 1 shitcoins too. I have to think a little bit about fascinations with the stock market and a disconnect between actual value or use with regards to a lot of stocks. I mean, when I was a kid, even before the internet, people would just get the newspaper and find 3 or 4 letters that they found interesting. So,
but there's a better way to produce a top list. I mean, this is not the right way to do this. I think you have to have a couple of things, like easily marking validator count, maybe some way of talking about, relative strength of the chain versus its.
Well, CoinMarketCap has thought about and had this conversation too, but why don't they do it? Because it's not sexy. Because it would be a drag on the thin or flimsiness of crypto in general. So they're doing everything that they can to make it seem sexy and robust.
Well, there's definitely a winner take all sort of a thing that's going on here. If you look at what are these top chains, right? I mean, this one is clearly, yes, Ethereum, of course, a stable, yes, Binance, Solana. I don't know what ton is, and Dogecoin being in top 10. I mean,
well, Solana, I can see it's highly used. Binance also.
Solana is not highly used. Solana is currently being used for this gambling token thing that's happening right now.
I mean, a casino's a business, so it's I don't want to go participate in it, but they did.
Well, did you see the breakdown on Solana that said if you're trading on there, if you've made over $100, you're in the top 4%. Like this is an engine to suck money out of the unwary.
I absolutely. It's a casino. It's a casino on a riverboat in the middle of a liquidity pool. So the liquidity pool is where to make money on Solana, or was at one time. Go ahead, Rusty. I know you engage on Solana. Maybe.
Well, I was just going to say that one of the reasons for that is just the low amount of validators and the amount of the power that the validators have on Solana. Solana is basically a sniper's paradise of who can just come in first and burn everybody that hears about it afterwards. Even in these alpha teams or these alpha groups that you hear around the spaces and around the Twitter groups, you can get into them. Even they're having a hard time trying to make money because by the time that they gets to them, it's already died. And one of the things about Solana is there's just so many coins being created because it's so easy to create a coin. There was a website out there called Pump.fun that was making more money creating Solana coins than I think Ethereum made in a day. I think I saw that there was one point where the Pump.fun passed the Ethereum amount of profit per day just because there's so many coins being created on Solana that anybody can do it. So everybody just goes over there, creates a coin, basically rugs it on the Pump.fun site and just makes money off of everybody else. And it's whoever can get in there first is the winner. And the real winners are the validators that own, I think it's $1 million worth of Solana to become a validator. And then if you can have that power, you see everything that comes to the chain and you see everything that is going to be put onto the chain first. So you can go there and pick and choose what you want to put onto the chain. And as you're putting it onto the chain, you can write into yourself your own buy. And so as it's going onto the chain, you're the first buy. And then all of a sudden there's somebody, oh, I see this new thing I want to buy. And you just sell right on top of them and you make your money. And it's not a lot of money, but it's enough money to, if you do it 1,000 times a day, it's going to make a difference.
Yeah, here's the post that I was thinking about. Right, if you've made over $1,000, you're in the top 3% of everybody that's trading on this. And this is like, there's nobody winning in this casino. This is the worst casino of all time.
Well, when transacting
House is winning.
What's that?
I said the house is winning in this casino for sure.
Yes. I mean, if this is your idea of a fun casino, you might as well go to the regular casino. You're going to do better.
Oh, I mean, I see it so much in these different chat groups that I'm in. Just these people join these different Solana tokens, and they rise and fall so fast. I mean, 3 hours could be the lifetime of a Solana token, and that could be a strong token nowadays. Like, it's just so crazy when you think about it. And that's why when you look at the Coinbase and you look at the top 100, it's just so many stable coins, because stable is strength. When you look at it at a chain like Ethereum, you look at a chain like Bitcoin, it's not just going to at least disappear in the next 2 hours. The entire coin is not going to go to zero in 2 hours. It's going to have some kind of strength and stability. Where if you're going over here on Solana and you're going into the next my dog with hat with a pony and a cup or something, it could live and die in 3 hours, and somebody's going to make money, but there's going to be a lot of people that are going to lose money trying to chase after it.
Boy, Rusty, I miss the pony with cup, pony with cup. I missed that one, but 100%. There's something to be. Solana is constantly hindered by its low gas fees, and there's no reason to. There's no cost of skin in the game or whatnot. There's no cost for selling something, so yeah, it's a slippery slope into
But everybody hears, Lucas, about the potential of the people that make millions off a dog with hat, or they make millions off of the Solana coin that just got created and their favorite influencer told them about it. And it's that drive and that thought that everybody can just do it. And I even hear from my friends and my people that I know of about when I talk to cryptocurrency and my little group of friends in Durango here, when they talk about cryptocurrency, it's, what coin be the next coin that I get in at early, and it's going to make me $1 million. And the likeliness of that to happen is so low. Like, you always hear about these 1,000x wins of people making it, but to actually have 1,000x win, if you look at the numbers, like, it's just unsubstantial. The people that make those wins are either A, lying about it, B, have fabricated information, or C, or very lucky in their wins. Like, I almost had one of those wins, and I got very lucky. I have a story like that where there was a coin very early in the beginning, a couple years ago, I want to say about 3 years ago now, when I first got into cryptocurrency. It was called STARSHIP. And STARSHIP was supposed to be the next big gaming coin, and even BitBoy Crypto was getting on board, and you could buy a spaceship, and you could buy a space station. You can make all this money, making money on the internet. And a buddy of mine, he talked to the CEO of the company early in California, luckily, and got heads up on it and told me about it and said, hey, take a look at this and invest into it. And so I took a look at it. It was 6 cents as per token. When I got into it, it was 6 cents a token, and then it shot up to $6 a token. And so I took a $700 investment and I turned it into $100,000 within a few months, because the token just shot up in price. And now, if you look at it, Luke Grant, that's the right one on the channel that, or up on the. What's the what do we call the Tron, the
screen? Yeah, whatever. I got you.
Whatever's on the screen, yeah, that's the correct coin that I was talking about. You can see how it's almost worthless now because it's made its drop, but in the beginning it was very low price. I got it for 6 cents, then it had that huge massive rise. I saw it reach $100,000 and then drop back down. I didn't capitalize on all that gain, but I did get a little bit of profit. I know I made good money on it. But still, even from $700 to $100,000 isn't these 1,000x gains that people are talking about, that you see everywhere on the internet, that everybody seems to have on their X feed, that they know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody whose cousin had one of these wins.
Well, this is something about what's going on with Bitcoin. I mean, if you think about if Bitcoin has a substantial uptick, because clearly there is no major bull market happening here, at least not in my opinion. I don't see everything ripping like there's no tomorrow. I see a lot of flatness in the crypto market. And if Bitcoin sees any kind of substantive rise, like what I heard people talking about the other day, if Bitcoin goes to 100K or 150K, you're going to see all the liquidity just get sucked out of the bottom of this stuff. Like, why be in anything else if you can be in something that has true security, liquidity, and it's substantively going up in price and seems like it's being adopted by almost everybody.
Well, I think about also the revelations, maybe not revelations, but think about your experience providing retail support for the crypto community, and the outsized number of boomers and retired people who are into crypto, and they were into it as a technology, an emerging technology that they were throwing money in. I think that's where a lot of the market cap comes from these coins. But it's a different type of person who's looking to buy a Solana and split that up into 1,000, 100,000, a million of whatever shitcoin that they can come up with, and generate some sort of rewards. And maybe even they're not that interested in making money. Maybe they want to experience a new technology. Maybe they're bored. People like to gamble. Or at least it shouldn't seem inconceivable that the house always wins, or people should be aware of that and understand that. And I think a lot of people do. And I mean, I know a bunch of retired folk who have a certain budget of their pension that is going to the casino, but they look at it as getting out in quote unquote public and spending some time, and just spending time. So maybe that's what's going on in the world of people who are devoted to scrolling through their phones. It gives you another reason, maybe a better reason of looking at your phone than the latest Instagram post or the bullshit that goes on around Twitter. Earlier, I mentioned Peter Thiel, and going back to that interview, the one thing that I thought was interesting that Peter Thiel brought up was the decentralized aspect of companies in the crypto as far as the structure of companies goes, as opposed to AI, and how centralized AI is, and what that might mean for traditional tech centers like San Francisco and Washington. So that was something that I thought what was an interesting takeaway, just that AI companies are so much more centralized. Oh, look, I didn't have to listen to it.
there you go, even better. I didn't find this till just now because I was looking for a clip, and then I found the summary. I was like, this is actually more useful than the other part. The thing that struck me the most about the interview was when they talked about this idea of creating an AGI, how much power it was going to take, where you'd have to locate it, essentially saying you need to either put it in Canada or Antarctica, someplace that it's naturally cold, because otherwise the cost of cooling was going to just destroy you. And then talking about how much they're planning on spending on NVIDIA chips in the near term. Both of those I thought were pretty massive takeaways. And he goes, do with that what you will in the market.
I think about the cost of AI and the amount of energy and heat that it generates all the time. When he said that, I just thought, well, here comes the coup that all of Canada has been waiting for from the United States since we gave up on Quebec all those years ago.
I don't know. We've got our own cold place, right? North Dakota, is essentially the same thing as Canada.
No,
That's why Mr. Wonderful's up there.
I thought you were going to say Alaska, but I guess North Dakota. Minot is going to be the new San Francisco. We called it here first.
I mean, it already is. Like, they've got substantive investment up there. This major Bitcoin installations going on up there. Plus, they have oil. I mean, North Dakota is unknown, but it's an incredibly crazy place right now as far as what's happening with investment. And that's one of the big arguments that have been leveled against Walz. You know, Mr. Wonderful actually has gone on TV and said Walz did not help Minnesota get awesome. He has been losing to North Dakota in a substantive way. I don't know if you caught that clip. Let me see if I can find that one.
Well, I didn't, but that's interesting because I don't take this wrong, Grant, but I often think of North Dakota, Wisconsin, and Minnesota as very similar in many ways. I just think of North Dakota as probably a windier and drier version of Minnesota. There was somewhere else that I wanted. Oh, did you happen to catch Michael Hudson and Radhika Desai? I don't know if I sent you they had quite a discussion about AI and the cost of computing AI, the cost of the electrical costs and expectations for it as an industry.
Here's the clip that I was thinking of that I saw it, where he said that North Dakota and South Dakota have been significantly outpaced by Minnesota. I still don't know the exact keystrokes to ensure that everybody can hear the clip, but it'll be in the comments on the replay. So if you want to check this one out, this one's worth hearing about if you're interested in hearing Kevin O'Leary's take on Tim Walz and whether he did well compared to what's going on in North and South Dakota. But with respect to, would you want to do it in Alaska? I don't think so. That to me feels like it's too hard to get stuff there versus North Dakota. It's arguably as cold, you know, maybe not exactly as cold, but very similar types of, you know, frigid climate, windswept, barren, but way easier to get stuff to North Dakota than it is to get it to Alaska. Way easier to defend it too.
Well, Peter Thiel also went on a summation of places that he'd like to live or wouldn't like to live in the United States. Came up with Nashville. I thought that was interesting. I usually rate my favorite places where I want to live in the United States by their elevation. But I have long thought that you know, I lived in Austin in 2004 for quite some time, several years, long time. And as we got progressively warmer in the summers there, I thought there are a lot of places that are looking a lot more attractive that used to seem really cold in the winter. So Silverton, Colorado doesn't get down to -40 below that often anymore. So maybe we will see more of, and especially to think about the quote unquote Rust Belt as it turns away from car manufacturing, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe we see more car manufacturing, or maybe that's something that never goes away. But I don't know. I say this also on the heels of Tesla, moving down to Texas. Yeah, to Texas, and also they have you seen that they have a massive manufacturing facility right across the border down somewhere in Nuevo Leon?
No, I didn't. But one thing that I saw that caught my eye about Tesla is, have you seen the free cash flow metric of Tesla versus other electric car manufacturers?
I have.
That one with Rivian, where Rivian essentially took all their money and just lit it on fire and just completely destroyed all that cash.
Yes. I couldn't believe how.
Okay, let me try and get that on the screen. Hold on.
Yeah, find that, because that one's a roller coaster ride that looks a lot like expectations of where your dollar is going to go when you buy a Solana.
I'm starting to see some of those cyber trucks popping up every now and then here in Durango. I went out to lunch the other day, and one of the cyber trucks was parked next to us and ended up swiping us on the way out as it was trying to reverse out of their parking spot and scratched up the back of our bumper.
Well, they didn't make them foolproof, I guess.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be a smart driver to buy a cyber truck. I mean, anybody can buy one if they got money. And some of these people, you know, they just buy them as a sport, or they just buy them as a trophy token, and they take them out and they don't even really know what they're doing with them. I was looking at it as it was parked next to us, and you know, it's got the one big windshield wiper. I never really seen them up close, and you know, it looks super slick. I mean, there's almost no bumps or slides, just completely you know, smooth at metal. And then it's got these big old gigantic tires, and the tires look like they're completely off because it's not like it's a raised vehicle or anything. So it's like it looks more like a car with like big old off-road tires on it, and it doesn't even seem like it makes sense.
Durango to me will always be synonymous with Toyota Tacomas. But even Toyota ruined the Tacoma design whenever they made it so large you can't bounce around 4 surface roads like you used to. So I was always an early 2000s Toyota is the model of my preference.
Oh yeah. I was always a big Toyota fan myself. I like the, you know, the late 80s style box scout, you know, some shortbread Toyota trucks. I remember when I was a kid growing up, my stepbrother had one of them, and we used to go and just tear the living hell out of that truck, just trying to see what we could do to break it apart, just so we could see what we could fix on the weekend.
Yeah, the first Toyota I ever saw in the 90s, because you used to not, especially not in farm country America, ever see a foreign vehicle. But I saw a Toyota T100 in the late 90s, and it looked like a toy. And then we got in it, and you could drive anywhere. It was light enough to bounce around. It was a great car. I liked it.
This show is kind of like those GeoGuessr things where they try and find a place from a photo in real time and see how fast they can do it. It's like we come up with some kind of a, did you see some post? And then it's me trying to GeoGuess exactly how to find it.
You
bookmark it.
You don't get enough credit, Grant. You have to do a lot of, but I like it. I like, look at that. Look at,
look at this. Look at Rivian. Just
it's worth the payoff. I mean,
oh my God. They're just like, they just took all this money they had it and they just absolutely lit it on fire. Just gone. Just blown money.
That was money that went to buy somebody's house on a beach in California.
And then you look at Tesla, and Tesla is just ripping. Like, there is no comparison at all. Like, every single one of these car manufacturers just lighting money on fire. I think they said, I saw something that said that Lucid something is losing like $250,000 for every car they put in the field.
Well, I have to wonder how much of this is related to performance and how much of it is related to marketing, though. Elon Musk is I don't know. I think that, well, I don't own a Tesla, nor do I own any other.
Well, I think Tesla was on this same trajectory at one point, but then the whole short squeeze, like inversion thing that we've talked about in the past happened, and that became its own self-fulfilling prophecy at some point, because they were on a similar trajectory, and I think that they were being shorted and looked at as, you know, another stock and company that was going to fail in a similar fashion. But then when you have this insane amount of cash and liquidity that gets injected into your company, as long as you don't fumble that fundamentally by just absconding with the cash, if you actually try to put it into a business and you really work hard at it, which I would credit Musk for doing, then you start to win. Now, I think they've had some significant slips with some stuff they've done recently. I've seen some quality issues with cars that they've produced that make me have significant pause and concern, but they still keep topping, you know, top manufacturer, trucking driver and whatever else keep raving about them.
Well, just going back to the, I mean, the crypto coin and the conversation there about consensus security and uses of those coins as compared to interest in them. I think we'd see the same thing in all products and in all stocks, because marketing, we live in a world where it's easier to market something. There are how difficult is it to recreate the wheel, or how much diversity can there be in models or ideas? And I'm thinking now a little bit about the Republican and Democrats conversations, arguments over Kamala Harris's economic plan.
Wait, what economic plan?
You didn't see Kamala Harris's economic plan?
I saw her say that she wanted to do a $6,000 credit for having a child, and then something about price controls. Was there something more substantive? Did I miss it?
Well, I mean, there's nothing substantive in either of them. The Democrats are also talking about raising the child tax credit. They're also, they talk maybe about drill baby drill and a concern about the gas fee, or the interest rate from the Federal Reserve, but they don't have any solutions that I've seen. And meanwhile, they're also constantly scratching their head. I mean, they wanted to talk about El Salvador as being some libertarian's dream of the future, but what did El Salvador recently but introduce price controls for the cost of groceries? And so there's a great fiction in the narrative that Americans, whether Republican or Democrats, tell themselves with regards to how money works and how an economy works. And both of them believe are captured by this notion of line go up to the right. That's how it works. That there's got to be a little bit more of that. In last week's episode, I mentioned this fascination with 2% inflation that the whole world has. But as more people understand that that's what's going on with the monetary supply. By the way, it was from New Zealand, not Australia. I was wrong with the. We've had a very New Zealand episode today. Probably KimDotCom was behind that too.
I had it on the screen. You're talking about this, right?
One of my favorite YouTubers or people that I follow, his name is Seth. He's from New Zealand. He's awesome. I just had to jump him in there real quick since you were talking about New Zealand.
Spell it. Seth or Seth?
Sesh. Seth. He's he does a lot of political videos. He does a lot of COVID videos. He's really great. He's actually the music video producer for Shib Toshi and Squid Grow. That's one of the reasons why I know him. I don't know if you guys know anything about those two projects or those people, but yeah, he's gotten pretty big because of them. He's gotten a few trips over to New York and down into San Francisco and LA, just visiting around America, just getting able to check everything out. There was times in spending with those different projects.
Well,
here's another statistic, I guess, since this is going to be the New Zealand episode. People are leaving, record numbers. That's a huge economic downturn that's happening in New Zealand.
I wonder where they're moving to. I wonder if they're holding on to their citizenship.
Australia was what I heard.
Really? I didn't think Australia let anybody in.
Well, that's the same thing as New Zealand. New Zealand doesn't let anybody in. It's really hard to immigrate to New Zealand, or at least it used to be hard to.
Well, that is an interesting. This is the most interesting chart you pulled up to me today. I wonder where New Zealand citizens are moving to. Who's letting them in? And I wonder if they're holding on to their citizenship. But going back to New Zealand being this, being where this notion from central banks having a fixed inflation rate and 2% was the right magic number. Sure, that might work when nobody is aware of it. But what happens what happens when counties and different government agencies all increase their budget by 2% every year? You know, this is part of the problem of the world in central banking today, is that once people are aware of inflation of a money supply, how do you make enough money to forestall hard political questions about what the price of groceries are, or what the price of the right minimum wage is, or not even minimum wage? What's the right wage? What's the right price of time to pay a worker? And now that the whole, I don't know that we can go back to this magic 2% number, because I think that a lot of companies were already aware of it, but there were controls that were being placed on them with regards to the financial cabal that was buying all the different companies, and as they could not sustain. I mean, also think about the narrative of working in America for the last 10 years. It's like you get a job, you get on LinkedIn, and you start advertising or you start looking for your next job. And companies are also hiring employees looking to get rid of an employee because they can't keep an employee for 20 years. How could they pay the pension for them, much less pay them a little bit more in salary every year? So,
pension?
Right. What's that?
The only way you get a pension is if you're a government employee.
because they get to create that. They have that magic ability to set a budget and then assess the property values or the income tax. But they get to play with the output number, not just the rate. And that's the only way that they can pay for it. And they just get they get to print more money and distribute that around people and say that it's moving in a circle. So, yeah, that's my black pill for today. I'm going to be very interested in watching the Democratic National Convention. It's going on in Chicago. We've got President Biden and the First Lady up to speak today. I think they're speaking separately, maybe one after the other. Who knows? Maybe Dr. Biden will be the warm up, the opener for President Biden, but also Hillary Clinton is speaking. So I'm very interested to see what she has to say, with a raised eyebrow. But this is going to be, I think this convention is going to be one to remember. Rusty, you mentioned earlier, maybe it was before the show, but there's going to be a whole lot of protesters there. There will be a whole lot of protesters there. I think it's going to be a raucous convention.
Yeah, I think I saw a post on X that said that they're preparing for over 100,000 protesters to come into Chicago for this event and make their voices known. And as we were speaking before the show on things to talk about in different subjects, that's a lot of mouths to feed. That's a lot of people to, house. That's a lot of people to take care of. That's on top of the population that's already, in dire needs in Chicago. That's already had a big influx of immigrants shipped to it as one of these sanctuary cities where they allow people to come here and be welcomed in and give places for them to actually try to survive and thrive. Because I mean, there's so many immigrants that have come in. That's one of the things I'm thinking about is, there's still people, they still have the normal human desire rights to want to have food and want to have shelter and want to have a decent, place of living and a decent way of living for themselves. And all these immigrants still have that feeling, and just being able to try to be able to provide for that amount of people is just insane. And I know that the government, and the Democratic government at least, they just want to create the money out of thin air and just give it to them. Immigrants want to come over the border and they'll just give them cell phones, and they'll give them credit cards, and they'll give them housing, and they'll give them all this money each month to survive. and that it's insane that they're just that's the solution, is we're just going to print money and give it to these people, when that couldn't have been the solution, for vets over the last 100 years, or some of these other issues. We've had a housing and homeless problem in the United States far before immigration was ever a problem.
Well, I think the last answer for getting people to believe in a currency whenever there are other notions as to what backs it and gives it stability is getting everybody in on the game. So I'm not so worried about Chicago being able to handle a large convention, but I think the question as to who the Democratic nominee is and how that works its way through the convention is going to be an incredibly interesting one, because I've just seen a large number of Democrats who are upset at the Harris campaign or the Biden-Harris administration for various reasons. I think a lot of the protesters are going to be there with regards to the Israel-Gaza conflict. I would be more impressed with the party if a lot of the protesting was going on with regards to the primaries and the lack thereof, or the lack of having an actual debates and other Democratic candidates to be put forth. So we'll see what happens, though, because it's also not. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw that Nancy Pelosi was. There was a rumor that Nancy Pelosi was very dissatisfied with Kamala Harris as a candidate, and so we might see some of the Democratic operatives trying to open the door for a different candidate to come in, because you mentioned Walz earlier, Grant, and there have been some issues with him as a candidate, and I don't see the Democrats like doubling down on their values. Like when it comes to immigration, I've said it before, but I've been sad to see that the Democrats won't make a humanitarian or moral case for their immigration policies, and in doing so, they set themselves up for a fight amongst their own party, like because they won't state the values that they have for making these hard decisions. But anyway,
what do you yeah, we're at the top, but like I guess one last thought on Kamala. A lot of has been made about her drinking problems and that she appears to be drunk in a lot of stuff that she's doing. Do you think there's any credence to that, or is it she just naturally goofy and her normal course just seems like she's drunk?
I mean, all ad hominem attacks I think of as diversions for the real matters at hand. So,
well, but this is a substantive claim. I mean, if you have somebody who's running for president and they have a serious drinking problem, I mean, like, is it right to be drunk and go give policy speeches when you're running for president?
I mean, in ʻvēnō ʻverə́ttäs, I would love it if there was a time whenever there were spittoons and whiskey bars in the halls of Congress. And I would rather having candidates get drunk and tell us their true feelings and show us true emotions than everyone being nice and showing their Vaseline slathered teeth and then going to a back room to have a real in ʻvēnō ʻverə́ttäs, in wine.
Okay, there we go. That ends the show. Like I love that phrase. I've never heard that phrase before, but I love it. In wine, one tells the truth. When you get drunk, then you show your true colors.
Yeah, that's the best case for Kamala that's been made yet. So look at me. Yeah, all right, let's end it. We'll see everybody tomorrow.
Yep.